It's me. If you don't know who I am, I'm Sarah. I'm that divination witch. Welcome, and welcome back if you're not new. This channel is a safe space, it's a witchy community, you can ask questions, all that jazz, nothing silly. If you want to join, hit subscribe. And if you want to support the channel further, all my stuff is linked below if you want to get a reading or join Patreon, learn from me and from each other. It's all on there. But as you'll know from the title and whatnot, this is a reading. I've asked Lilith to be here. Just got done filming another message with her. So, yeah, we're going to see what she has to say. So, with the Hermetic Tarot, which is one of hers. Well, one she's claimed, you know. Let's get into it. Right. Queen Lilith. I'd love to call her Queen. What would you like to say right now? Damn, getting called out. I always get called out. You are divine. You are a divine spirit. I am, you are, we all are. But we don't believe it. And I admit, even I don't always believe that. She's putting in my mind how lately I've been going down a rabbit hole of Gnosticism. I've known about Gnosticism and some of its teachings for years now, but the rabbit hole I've been down in particular is to do with the divine spark that we all have. And she wants me to explain that the Gnostics, well, let's give the condensed version best I can. The Gnostics believe that the Abrahamic God is not the real God. He is an abomination. And to be quite honest, I can see that. He is somebody called Yaldabaoth. What it is, the creator God, let's say, split off and created what are called eons or aeons, which were all generally done in pairs, I believe. Off the top of my head, this is a condensed bloomin' Cliff Notes version off the top of my head here. Like a divine masculine and a divine feminine pair. And I suppose that lines up with mythologies when you've got all these different archetypes of gods, like war deities, love deities, you know, home deities, all the, you know what I mean, different archetypes. And Sophia, or Pistis Sophia, was one such aeon or goddess. And I do see her as a creator in her own right, but she kind of did a thing. She was and is the goddess of wisdom, and I've met her before. I've got a video I made a while ago about my encounter with her. It's in the deities playlist if you're interested. But yeah, she's a goddess of wisdom. But this, in my opinion, wasn't wise. She decided to recreate with herself, which is kind of defying the laws of nature, is what she did. And her doing so created Yaldabaoth, this abomination, this creature that was like snake-like with a lion head. And to be quite honest, it reminds me, I don't like to say its name, but it reminds me of Apep. It was very destructive, very like this destructive serpent energy, okay? And he was cast out by Sophia into like his own little pocket universe, let's say, and he thought he was the only one. And he declared himself the one true God, and that's why God of the Old Testament's all vengeful and no gods before me and all this jazz. And humans come into this because we were once divine beings, and this is where a lot of different beliefs kind of stem from in a way. I'm thinking of star seeds and all this. I don't know enough about star seeds, but the theory is about having this divine spark, really. And this divine spark that we had, it came from Sophia's counterpart, the masculine. And from what I remember, we were all kind of dumbed down by Aldraborth and his image of humans, sort of thing. It's more complex than that. But basically, the real us are divine beings, and it's Yaldabaoth, the corrupt god, and his archons, which are the angels, controlling the narrative, let's say, to say that we are just dumb, primitive creatures and keeping us kind of in a matrix, which is where people get that theory from. Oh, we live in a matrix, that kind of vibe. That's the condensed off the top of my head version, all right? But Lilith wants me to explain that. She is involved too, but I'm not getting too much bogged down into that because this is a reading video. It's not a history video or a religion video. But what this is, why I had to explain that is, we are all divine beings, all right? Whether you want to say it's a starseed or a Gnostic belief or whatever, we are. It's some people, isn't it the God particle? I've heard of that chucked around before. But we are. I mean, on the left-hand path, we say we are a god. We are the magician. We are the master of our universe. And this is the philosophy I'm starting to live by. I am more left-hand path leaning these days. And no fucking shame with that as well, because being left-hand path, just to say, doesn't mean it's all about darkness and hurting people and things like this. It's not. It's self-mastery. That's what it is. But hiccup, sorry. What Lilith is saying is we forget this and we are bogged down with this, and that's why I had to tell you the condensed version of Yaldabaoth's story thing, because she gave 10 of Wands, which is us, being bogged down, okay? We are divine beings and we forget this. We live in this system of oppression. That's her words. We are systematically oppressed. And what she's putting in my head is literally medieval torture. You may or may not know about this, but in Middle Ages, we used to torture people for fun, sort of thing, criminals. But one of the methods was to lie somebody down and stack weights on top of them and press them down. Literally press them down. And that's what's happening here. It's like we're being juiced. We're being squashed. It's heavy energy because we are being pressed down, literally in an energetical way, if that's the right wording. Our divine spark is being wringed out of us, Our energy is being drained, and I don't want to scare people with this, but we have to wake the hell up. We are more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. And this isn't a Hecate reading, but she does say all the time, Hecate, there is no right answer. There's no right and wrongs here. The reason she says that is because we are the master of our own universe, really. It's our life, no one else's. And for so long, as a collective, we are being controlled. The narrative is being controlled by religions, by politics, by those in power, the rich, the billionaires, whether it is fucking Elon Musk at the minute or Trump, or whether it was King James back in the day, or whoever. There's always someone in power. There's always people even behind the scenes that we don't even know their names, pulling strings, puppet masters. And it's not, people like to say, at least conspiracy theorist people, oh, they're all worshipping Satan. No, it's all a cult and whatever. Look, there might be some sort of cult for, I don't want to get into that. But I don't think it's Satan. I don't think it's the demons or whatever, because they're anti-establishment. They are rebellion. If you want to even put them in that box of they are just fallen angels, whatever bullshit, even then, they are against this crap. Go back in time, further back than any Abrahamic tradition. Go back to ancient Mesopotamia, Sumeria, the Akkadians, and Enki and Enlil, and how Enki is your Yahweh, your sky god, your ruler sort of thing, that Enlil wanted to rebel against. He's the Lucifer, he's the light bringer, he's the morning star. And Therefore, even if you go back to the archetypes then, the bad guys are not exactly someone that wants, wants law and order in that regard. They want freedom, they want free will. They want us to have that too. So we are being bogged down. We are being manipulated. We have been for so long. And you either sucked into like a cult sort of mentality, especially in the Western world, and I'm sorry to say it, especially in the USA, though it's not just there. It's not just there. But there are a lot of fundamental Christians there. But it's not just Christianity either. Islam does that. I'm sure Judaism does, but I'm just thinking of extremist groups, you know what I mean? And it's very much extremist groups on both sides that treat each other like crap, that would literally unalive each other, and that is in the name of a good guy. No. So we're all being controlled. You're either in that mindset, that extremist sort of vibe, or you're just dumbed down. And I used to be dumbed down before I was awake. I used to work, go to work, do my thing, live for the weekend, have nice holidays, buy nice clothes, go to work, and not think of anything more, And there's a lot of people like that, at least where I live. There's a lot of people just going with the flow. I know there's cost of living crises everywhere and things like this, but still, there's a lot of people who are just not thinking about anything more than their mundane lives. And that's a form of control as well. So yes, we are being pressed down. There's not a lot of love. There's not. There's no empathy right now. We've got the lovers reversed. People, on the whole, obviously there's going to be exceptions to this, but there's not much community spirit about anywhere where you live. I feel like the general vibe is people are like number one, look after number one, and then the next. And while that, yes, okay, we have to make sure we're okay to be able to help other people, of course, but there's no camaraderie. That's what I feel. That's why I've set up this community to try and promote that and get some going. And there are some niche places like that. Yes, there are. But on the whole, as a big collective, it's gone compared to even 10 years ago or something. There was more understanding, I felt. It's just less and less over time. And there's a lot of people who are also disconnected. High Priestess reverse, like I've just explained. Living for the weekend, things like this. But even those who are not living for the weekend, who are trying to find answers, you may be getting controlled by other people, whether that is a religious sect or not, or even just pressured by families and things like that. That is a thing as well. Oh, you can't think any different to us, sort of vibe. And then it's that doubt because we've been conditioned to not think for ourselves, really. I mean, a lot of what I say, I get called crazy for. I get a lot of criticism for what I believe, but I'm very fortunate in that I don't have anyone else to please in my life. I'm going to do me, but other people are not as fortunate. If you have a partner, for example, who may not be awake and, could be difficult, is what I'm trying to say. Or even if you live with your parents, and I'm not saying this to aim it at young people because, hey, in this day and age, there's people older than me still living at home because they can't afford to live anywhere else. This is how hard it is in the world. So there's a lot of that, a lot of disconnection, and therefore that breeds doubt. You feel like a crazy person. I've just even briefly said that about myself as well. There's a lot of judgment cast on other people. I used to do it too. I am pretty skeptical still, even though I do what I do, believe what I believe, and I help people. I think it's healthy to have some skepticism. But I used to be so much the other way. I would take the piss out of people like me. I would call us all cuckoo. I would say that you're deluded and insane. I would be nasty about it, to be honest, until it happened to me. And I'm like, oh shit, these people aren't insane. I used to think people were in a kind of fantasy world, you know, and it's easy to think like that, to dismiss anything that is against the grain, anything that is not the normal, the mundane. It's easy to do that. But is it right? No, because take modern day religion out of things as well, like us as humans, as beings, we were not meant to live the way we do these days. We were in touch with nature, in touch with spirit. There was less of this judgment. And yes, time's advanced and like science has moved on leaps and bounds, and there's a lot of things we can explain, and you know, we've got modern medicine and things like this. But there's still things we can't explain, and there's still phenomena and situations that happen that are beyond science at the moment, at least. And back in the day, we would have just accepted that, oh, it's the gods, or it's the spirits, it's the ancestors, it's whatever. Now that's lost, is what I'm trying to say, the connection, because although science may not right now be able to prove on paper that ghosts are real, for example, what makes a ghost real? You know, what makes any of this real? Who's to say it's not? You know, once upon a time we didn't have medicine the way we do now. We used to think that bloodletting, I mean, I'm no bloody medical professional, but I know that generally speaking, we don't use, say, leeches the way we used to. You know, there'll be some scenarios, of course, you know, but you know, you would go to the barber surgeon, for example, in Victorian times, get your leg chopped off by the hairdresser. You know, we used to think that was okay. You bite down on some wood, choppy woppy. It's not like that anymore, you know. So things will come on in leaps and bounds, and it, you know, who knows, in 100 years they might have some new evidence of something. For all we know, they probably have this evidence and hiding it from us. Who knows? Who knows? There's so much conspiracy out there. But yes, there's a lot of judgment cast and less camaraderie and a lot of pain because of that. Three of Swords. And I feel this pain. I don't know about you guys, but mentioned about how it's a struggle to just survive, to pay your bills, to live. You know, people can't afford things. And so instead of coming together, instead of trying to build one another up to make it better, to make ourselves feel better, the general consensus is we tear each other down. And that's not divine, is it? That's not godlike. That's not spiritual. It's just not. That's why I've been guilty of it too, I suppose, because nobody's perfect. I try not to get too much into it with people. There's times I do, though, because I'm not going to be disrespected. But hey ho, it seems a general consensus, and therefore the actions we take, Princess of Wands reverse, are not. We're not taking the right actions for ourselves, for each other, being pretty immature as a whole, and it's make or break human race. We are divine. We are better than this, and it's up to us to improve or not, sink or swim. Just seeing if she has anything else to say. She just gave Princess of Swords reverse as well, which is like Page of Swords reverse. So, when the pages are reversed, I immediately think that's so immature. And swords is the actions that we need to take. So we're not doing the right actions. We're not feeling the right feelings or doing the right actions. We got Two of Wands reversed as well. A lot of fence sitting, a lot of doubts, a lot of just, well, I can't change it, so what's the point? And that's the selfishness. Seven of Wands. You know, that's looking out for us and not caring about the bigger picture in a selfish manner, you know. Hermit reversed, yeah. Wallowing in mental health, wallowing in depression, feeling woe is me. Six of Swords reversed. again, swords is the action. Six of Swords is normally we'll find the solutions, but it might be hard. But we are not finding the solutions. We're blocking ourselves. We've got nobody to blame but ourselves. And then Eight of Swords reverse. We've got to get over this. We've got to get over this. For our own sakes, we are forgetting we are divine beings. We are capable of much more. I mean, even when you're learning the occult or anything spiritual, I get a lot of newbies, and I used to think this too, afraid, afraid of the unknown. And I think that's a survival thing in us humans. Of course, we're afraid of what we don't understand. It's a survival thing, right? But say you encounter a trickster spirit or a ghost or whatever, something that's a bit uneasy. All right, yes, it's scary. Okay, we can't lie, it's scary. At first, it was for me too. I remember when I was first waking up, there was something pounding on my door. I can't make this up. Like, it was as if someone was banging on the front door all the time, and it wasn't. If that ever happens, don't open the door. That's just my advice. But I've had my fair share of spirits here, not nice ones and things like this. But what I've learned over time and from the advice of my deities, I have power too. You come to my house, disrespect me, you come into my area, you want to mess with me, I'll mess with you back. It's like if they were physically in front of you, like say a person broke into your home. All right, yeah, some people would fight back. Were naturally fiery, some people. Some people were more timid, but you'd call the police or something, wouldn't you? You'd still deal with it in some way. But I find a lot of people are afraid and don't deal with it and bury their heads in the sands and things like this. We need to remind ourselves we have capacity to deal with things, whether that is something spiritual or anything. There's always some way we can make a difference. And my ears are starting to ring as I'm saying that, so I feel like that's right. But yeah, we can make a difference. We do have power. We can change things. And it's time that we start remembering it. So whether you like Lilith or not, she couldn't give a fuck. And I have to say it like that because she's telling me to. She doesn't care, right? Like her, hate her, whatever. But the message still stands. You are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. So sink or swim, baby. It's time. That's what she's saying. And you've got nobody to blame but yourself. Okay, that's the message. Thank you, Lilith. Thank you, guys, for listening. Hope you found some value. Hit subscribe. I do post readings from time to time. I post a lot of educational content on spirituality, the occult. I've got a playlist on Lilith, playlist on Hecate. Got things going on. Yeah. Until next time. Stay safe, stay witchy. Bye-bye.